Too big. اوكي لحظة دقيقة. طب ما ثانية ورا.
The United Nations General Assembly declared the 7th September as the International Day of Clean Air for Blue Sky. So in tackling the air pollution, we need to think globally, assess regionally, and act locally. We need to think globally because the global issue contribute to climate change issues such as climate change. We need to assess regionally because it's a regional issue. It can cross the borders without any travel document. Air pollution can cross the borders without any travel document. And we need to act locally because that is where the solution is. So I'm really happy to meet you because you are really acting locally. How can we improve the air quality in Lebanon from a mobility perspective? Because mobility is one of the largest contributor of air quality.
We are an organization that focuses on trying to promote cycling and soft mobility in Lebanon. And in Lebanon, transport is the biggest contributor to emissions, the transport sector, and we have a very highly car-dependent transport sector. Around 80% of trips are done by private vehicle or private cars. If we want to try to tackle air quality in Lebanon, one big element of it is trying to reduce how much we depend on private cars for transportation and switching to cleaner modes of transport. And we work specifically on cycling and walking, but there are also other things like public transport that are really important, and we lack the infrastructure for that. Lebanon can really reduce its improve its air quality by just promoting and facilitating the use of alternative modes of transport.
How you really implement this solution for the alternative for transport, and how you are promoting that in Lebanon?
We work along three main streams. We work a little bit on education and awareness. So we try to raise awareness about the option of cycling as transport. We try to make people, see it as a means of transport, because currently it's seen as a way of, doing sports or leisure, but it's not really seen as a mode of transport. And also talking about the benefits, that it's good for physical health and mental health, and like just practicality of it, and also helping people access some information and answering questions. We provide some solutions and interventions. So we provide information on where to get bikes, access to bicycles, maps of like friendly routes. We've done some bike parking installations in public and private places. We do big campaigns like the Bike to Work campaign, which we do in several cities with some partner organizations. We try to promote also like implementable solutions with the municipality and lobby for things like that. And we do lots of awareness and workshops with young people about like the idea of cycling as a means of transport and how it's possible to do it. We also have a access to affordable bikes campaign that we started in during the COVID lockdowns, where we try to help people get access to affordable or cheap or free bikes.
I would like to know from your practical experience, and what are the barriers actually you are facing in this, facing in implementing this, and how you overcome those barriers.
Our biggest barrier is always the political barriers and the political will. I think this is the main one we face in Lebanon, this reluctance to acknowledge even that that cycling and soft mobility are a legitimate means of transport and that they need to be invested in and promoted. There's generally not a big interest in investing in things that create well-being for people and improve people's livelihoods. There's a lot of talk, but not enough action. We also have big infrastructure barriers, so we don't really have infrastructure for cycling or even walking in many of our cities. It's quite, it feels quite dangerous for people who have never done it before. It's not accessible for lots of different types of people in wheelchairs. There are not sidewalks everywhere, and they're not consistent, and it's very hard to navigate the sort of built environment if you are not an able-bodied person and courageous enough to do it. It puts you off from a lot of things. We also have some like economy and market barriers. So the it's hard to get access to affordable bikes, and especially given like what people earn compared to what people earn, bikes are generally not very affordable, and especially now in the financial crisis, they've become much less accessible. And we also have some cultural barriers. The view of the bike as being something that not a poor person will use or a child will use, but it's not something that a respectable person should use to go to work because it's still like this. Also, in some areas, women are not seen as supposed to be riding bikes.
So, what is your recommendation for someone who want to promote this kind of initiative in other part of Lebanon or in other part of developing countries? So, because how long you have been working on this?
As much resources as you can give to this, the more you have resources, the more you're able to do. But I think different areas first have slightly different needs. So we are quite focused on sort of urban areas and cities where people make lots of short trips and where things are relatively close to each other. But and also like the topography plays a big role. So there are quite a lot of villages and areas in Lebanon where it's a little bit hillier or harder to get from village to village, where cycling maybe might not be the best solution for all trips, maybe for some. I think in the context of Lebanon, working with municipalities to, first of all, make them see um, cycling as a means of transport and get them to be interested in helping their local population to be able to move around more easily. I think just mainly like addressing the barriers. So looking at ways to potentially import bicycles and make them available. There are lots of social programs that can go on where some bikes can be sold and some bikes can be sort of given at reduced cost to people who cannot afford to pay the full price for a bike. There are stuff around implementing infrastructure, like helping municipalities identify key corridors and key routes that are a little bit uh, dangerous, and implementing sort of segregated lanes or more infrastructure, more public spaces to allow people to move around by walking and cycling. And this doesn't necessarily have to be done through expensive means. So there are lots of tactical urbanism solutions where you can create public space more cheaply using sort of temporary materials. You can create segregated bike infrastructure using bollards or other things. We're looking at these quick solutions, especially in places where budgets are tight and there's not a lot of available money to spend on like expensive infrastructure. But infrastructure is definitely key. Like it's very hard to encourage a mode shift to walking and cycling without investing really in creating safe infrastructure and links, missing links that are a little bit dangerous also really put off people from cycling. So yeah, these are things. Also working on training and awareness campaigns. So there's a lack of skills around how to use a bike and how to use a bike in traffic, and in societies where kids don't learn how to do this from a young age. It's also very important to have skill training programs for adults and training programs for children to help them be able to be completely confident and comfortable on a bike and be able to navigate traffic through that. And there are different levels.
The air pollution is a very complicated issue, and it cannot be solved alone by the government policies, and it needs everyone involvement from government to individual. As individuals, we are the one suffer from the air quality, the bad air quality, but we have even more to offer to improve the air quality. So on this day of International Day for Clean Air, let us commit ourselves to contribute our small portion in improving air quality wherever we are. And thank you for your initiative to show some action in the ground. And I wish you all the best and all the success for this initiative.